on FM. Rotus Oddiri joins us now to talk about the kobo, the naira, the pounds, the yen, and everything involved this morning with just for Christmas. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Omas. Good morning, Zibby. Good morning to all everybody out there. Welcome to a new week in the final month of the year.
Okay, so let's deep into this one quickly, where it is conspicuous now from what I see, and you're following this one seriously, where it seems Nigeria's Minister for Trade missing conspicuously from a trade summit flyer, or if as you like, poster. That's what it is. So, Rotus, could you tell us what this summit is all about and when it will be taking place?
Yeah, it's a summit that is about trade. It's going to be taking place in February of next year in Lagos, and it's a pretty big deal because of how important trade is to the country. So it's basically called talking about it's the Africa Trade and Investment Summit, and the theme is reimagining economic growth in Africa. So it's a pretty big deal.
Okay, Rotus, in itself, when let's piggyback off of the recent budget defense and the face-off between, or probably if you like, the caution from the committee members led by former Edo State Governor, now Senator Adams Oshomole, to the Trade Minister Doris Uzoka Nite. Could you say, is it because this one is not being held in Switzerland, but it's just Lagos? So subordinates can come and attend this one.
Well, it's that's a plausible submission there. But because of the high level people that are in attendance, I don't think it would be wise for her to send any of her people there. This is something that would have required her presence there simply because of the other people that are in attendance that are headlining this summit.
Okay, so let's get into the meat of this conversation once more. Why is the trade minister's absence now striking in all of this? So if she's not attending, others will be there.
Yeah, so the thing is, you have to look at the folks that are attending in the first place. So you've got Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is the Director General of the World Trade Organization. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that. You've got Lamido Sanusi, who of course is the former central bank governor, former emir of Kano. You've got Taiwo Oyedele, who is the chair of the Presidential Committee on Tax Reform. So, those are the big folks that are headlining this thing. And so it is the Africa Trade and Investment Summit. I mean, it literally has trade and investments in the title. So, for I mean, the minister was one of the first people expected to see her picture headlining this event, because you don't put out a flyer until you've confirmed with the people that will be attending and made sure that I'll be there. So which is why it was very striking to me that she's not part of it. Maybe there'll be a last minute adjustment and they'll redo the flyers. But then for something that's taking place in February to already have a flyer out to December, that suggests to me that you've confirmed everyone. So for an Africa Trade and Investment Summit being attended by the Director General of the World Trade Organization, so not, who is a Nigerian, by the way, to not have the Minister of Trade and Investment there is pretty striking.
That in itself, I just look at it from a standpoint where you would have a Rotus, anchoring the World Bank reports presented sometime last week, and then look at this is supposed to be the trade minister's event where she should shine for the posters. But right now, so Rotus, let's try and make a case for her. What could be the possible reason?
I am seriously scratching my head. It's possible maybe she has another engagement. Maybe she's just not going to be available. But again, it's about trade. So it's about something that your ministry is basically covering. It's held, not that it's being held. You made the point about it not being held in Switzerland. It's not being held overseas. It is held in Lagos, Nigeria, where you are. It features other prominent Nigerians from the government, from this administration that'll be there. So, yeah, I mean, it's possible they couldn't confirm. Maybe she has something else that she's doing. Um, but I'm scratching my head as to why she's not available. It's possible they didn't confirm with her in time, and she just has a schedule clash, and will be somewhere else during that time.
Now, let's look at the importance of the trade ministry in Nigeria's economy. Is it really playing a role, or you think this ministry can be merged somewhere else? It's just occupying space.
This is, in my view, one of the most important ministries in the entire country. This ministry is on trade and investments. So the ministry basically deals with, bilateral and multilateral trade relationships with other countries. It also, by virtue of the word investment, anything coming into this country, this ministry is supposed to be there. When we talk about foreign investment coming into Nigeria, bringing dollars into the country, this is the ministry that is tasked with that assignment. It also has other ministries that it even ties into pretty much every other ministry, from health to the finance ministry to anything else you can think of. So when you think about the individual who is responsible for boosting non-oil exports, it is this ministry that you turn to. When you think about a ministry that is supposed to be in charge of bringing in foreign investments into Nigeria, this is the ministry that you turn to. So it is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly important to the Nigerian economy. And, I guess for this kind of job, the person at the helm has to be somebody that can pick up the phone, and when they call Antonio Gutierrez of the United Nations, which of course has the United Nations trade subsidiary under it, UNTAD, the Trade Commission, he'll pick up the phone. You got to have somebody there who has some serious gravitas and serious international network and connections. So, um, I just I hope that the our present minister is ready for what this job, entails. Because when you look at something like our trade figures that we went over on this show, 18 trillion naira trade, 10 trillion in exports, 8 trillion in imports. Out of the 10 trillion in exports, 9.6 trillion was crude. It's her job to make sure that you boost non-oil and diversify away from crude. So enormous responsibility on us when it comes to this particular ministry.
All right, your tray is almost empty this morning for Business Express, but I'll quickly get to the client and, of course, with listeners right now. Let's get them to be part of the conversation this morning on 0809 4440981. We'd like to read those WhatsApp messages as you get the final take on this issue. And let's look at it this way. Some would say it's very lonely at the top, especially when we relate to this next issue. So it's copyright related and property intellectual law related. And of course, it ties back again to trade in a way. So speak to me as we hear that Grammy-nominated artist Ashake is being said to have given out 5 million naira in more like help to a woman who made that audio very famous for him in one of his songs, who seemed to be taking her, someone was taking her to where she did not know. Speak to this, Rotus.
Yeah, I thought I got a bit of an intellectual property law lesson this particular weekend. I'll even send you some tweets. Basically, uh, people are saying so. Yeah, so that the lady made was what she went viral in last year, I think, because of that help me thing
Mm.
where she was, I think, trying to stop somebody from driving away in a keke or something like that. So Ashake he samples her voice and puts it on his song, his hit song, Peace Be Unto You. And so it turns out she was injured and in the hospital this past weekend or so, or maybe it was a week prior. And a comedian now comes out and says that, because he's been on the matter for quite a while, and he says that it turns out that the the artist Ashake ended up giving 5 million naira, donating to her medical needs. So people started saying that, okay, it's not enough that he gave the 5 million, that since he sampled her voice, she should get royalties from the song. And I thought that was very interesting. I don't really know anything about intellectual property law, but it turns out an entertainment lawyer did weigh in on Twitter saying that actually no, she's not entitled to anything. And so it turns out the way he explained it was that the voice, her saying help me," she was just her speaking. She didn't make it a song. She didn't go through the creative process of turning it into a song. So Asake, him sampling her voice is the creative force behind the song Peace Unto You. So he essentially is at liberty to not give her anything as far as royalties from the song are concerned, because that phrase, help me, basically is not in itself a song. I'm not a lawyer, but these things are very,
Mm.
he went into great detail. So I thought it was pretty interesting because I assumed that, yeah, maybe she should get some royalties because her voice was sampled. But in the end, no. But so I guess he was just being pretty generous in sending her that money.
So, Rotus, in the final one, we also understood Ashake, she in one of his concert, Brixton, sometime there was a stampede and tragedy occurred. So you would also, the family also, seeing this, wouldn't they want to lay claim to say, yes, we also deserve some help also?
Well, yeah, I mean that one for sure. If people attend your concerts and well, we have to find out what the nature of the stampede is. Was it him that caused it? Did he throw money into the crowd, or did he throw a t-shirt and people started stampeding to grab it, or was he completely unrelated to the stampede that happened? So you have to figure out the origin of it, and then if he can be held liable or held responsible for what started it in the first place, and then you can take it from there.
Final take on this one, Rotus. Now you say it was just a voice, right? Now imagine you walk up as you drive around Lagos this morning, you find your face on a billboard. Now just flip the coin and see a voice, your face on a billboard you were not told.
Ah, that one is different. So you're using my likeness, as they call it, to sell something.
The
So that
voice
one
is a likeness
you'll pay
also,
me.
Rotus.
True. Yeah, but again, the lawyer, the guy explained it. He said she was just if you're just she was just speaking and somebody just happened to capture it on camera.
Okay.
So it wasn't like she intended for her voice to. She wasn't selling anything. She was just saying, "Help me." You could be, So the way the lawyer explained, I'll try and get him on the show actually if I can. Maybe I'll get him on Business Hub
Okay.
to explain it, or I'll see if I can even get him on tomorrow's Business Express, because the intellectual property law is pretty interesting. Well, yeah, he said, she didn't. The phrase "help me" was not a commercial product in of itself. It was just a sentence that was just made into the ether, and somebody captured it on the phone, and then because it went viral, and she never intended for it to go viral either. Ashaka just used it. I thought it was very interesting. I'll try and get him on the show to see if he can explain it
The
as
man
well.
who captured it also could also use some help also.
Well, that see, the person that captured it because she was trying to catch somebody who was trying to drive away. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
if he intended for it to be viral himself. It's like capturing a police chase. Seeing a police car chasing another car, and the police says, stop that person," and then now an artist now takes the police saying, "Stop that person," and puts it on a song. Did the police intend for it to be, that's the gray area, which I thought was very interesting. But I'll do my best to grab him and see if he can come and explain it better, because it's a important part of the music business.
Okay, so
And he said, speaking of it, he also said she did not copyright the sentence, so it's not like that's another thing. He made that point that she didn't copyright that sentence
Okay.
as well.
Messages waiting for you, Rotus, this morning. Fine Oluboroko has this message. Perhaps the trade minister didn't see any reason to be on the poster since she's going to be the host. I think she would be there on the said day. Fine Oluboroko. I've got Prince. Rotus, is it possible to reach out to the organizers and the ministry to get the information? That's what Prince sent in as a question. Tayo comes in this morning. Good morning, Tayo. And it says, intellectual property is different from a tortious damage before establishing liability. The maker of the video can claim royalty. At most, it is an invasion of privacy. That's what Tayo drops by for us this morning. Then
Omas, can you forward that message to me and save it? I'll try and see if I can send it to the lawyer so you can respond to that.
Okay, we want to say thank you to Yinka Bolu, Gilbert Musa. We see your messages, but it's time up right now. Thank you all so much. Rotus, may the pounds, the naira, the yen converge very nice for us before Christmas.
Amen to that. Amen. Thank you guys so much.
Bye, Rotus.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's it on Business Express on Smooth 9.